Hello. Today we're going to be talking about how to talk to important people. Some of us are very shy, tend to have a real difficulty speaking or talking to important people because for some reason we think that we are less than them or that they are more than us, and we get this fear that is unrealistic. One of the things we need to maintain in mind when we speak to these people is that they are just like us. They are humans just like us. They may be rich or may have a profession a little more important, but we are all the same. We need to keep that in mind when we speak to them so that we're not terrified. But it is important that we do recognize them and speak to them because they're also human beings and they also need our interaction. So keep that in mind. Number one, to speak to important people, first of all, we need to have a reason. I'm not promoting put important people on a pedestal. I'm stating the facts the way it is because it's hard to speak to somebody who is in a higher position than we are when we're shy, not secure and not confident in conversation. So we need some techniques to go by. So the first one is to speak to them with something formulated in our minds. So there's a purpose for the conversation. Second, we need to have a knowledge between talking and speaking. One example, suppose that Mr. Rogers is the CEO of the company that I work at, and it's hard for me to approach him because I'm shy. Suppose something happened in my department and he doesn't know about it yet. I'm going to tell him about that, speaking to him. Mr. Rogers, the pipe broke over my desk and there was water all over. So I'm speaking to him, I'm telling him something that he did not know. This is just an example. It could be, I want to speak to you about a report requested by the corporate office. They want it tomorrow. We don't have it ready yet because this and this reason. Always have a reason why you went to speak to him and why you're giving him information. Don't just say, oh, they requested a report and we don't have it ready. We don't have it ready. Why? We don't have it ready because this and this. So he knows. So always make your conversations that way. Next is when we're going to talk to him. Mr. Rogers, I would like to talk to you about the topic we discussed at the meeting this morning. You said you need the report for the corporate office today at 5 o'clock. We have all three information. However, we don't have the fourth item in the report yet because department such and such has not given it to us yet. Mr. Rogers already knew that there was going to be a report. He knew the items he requested. He knows what the corporate office wants. I'm just talking about it and why you don't have it ready. We don't have it ready because, I always use the word because, the mathematics department hasn't given us these statistics yet. Number three, suppose Mr. Rogers had a fantastic idea. You hardly ever talk to Mr. Rogers, but you thought his idea was really good. Or maybe you want to make sure Mr. Rogers gets acknowledged for his ideas. Mr. Rogers, I think your idea about building another storage room downstairs is excellent because I have a lot of stuff under my desk and all over my office that I don't have space for. Now I'm going to have more space in my office. Thank you for that idea. So you always make it about the other person. Number four, many people in a company would never say happy birthday to their superiors because, oh, they're the boss, but it's Mr. Rogers' birthday and you got in the elevator and he got it too. And you know it's birthday, so don't be quiet about it. Mr. Rogers, happy birthday. I hope you have a wonderful day. But here's the thing. Happy birthday. I hope you have a wonderful day. And that's it. You don't have. So what are you going to do today for your birthday? Are you going to go to dinner? What's your family doing for your birthday? Never go into that. You never ask for conversation that they have to give you something. The conversation is from you to them. You're giving information to them always. Now, if you know the person well, if you're really comfortable talking to them, they could be the king of kings and you can talk to them, of course. But your superiors have your conversation planned and never ask questions that require them to give you information. Suppose that Mr. Lyons was on vacation or he went on a business trip and he was gone for a few days and he just came back. Welcome back, Mr. Lyons. You never say, did you like it over there? What did you do over there? Was the meeting good? If they want to talk to you and give you information, that's their decision, but you don't ask for it. Don't pry. Another thing would be, suppose Mrs. Hunt had a baby. We need to say congratulations to them, right? But first and foremost, find out, was the baby a boy or a girl? So you go, congratulations on your baby grow. Another point about conversation I want to stress. We never try to make a funny joke, especially not sarcastic, because obviously you don't know that person well or at all. Some people don't take sarcasm very well, and some people don't like jokes, and you don't know one of those people. It is uncouth to speak to a person that you hardly know and start making jokes. Don't try to be too friendly in the conversation. These are usually very busy people. When you speak to them, you want to formulate 1 to 2 sentences. If they are questions, they need to have a specific reason for the question about the business, or if you're a doctor's office, that will be a question about your health. You don't start talking about, oh, my family, my husband, this and that, my kids did this. They are not there to listen about that. They're very busy. So you go over there for your health and you speak to them about your health. Once they tell you the diagnosis, next time you go back, you're going to talk to them about the medication, but have everything formulated so you don't get there, don't even know the name of the medicine you're taking. We formulate in our mind what we need to talk to them. It's not that they're so much more important than we are. It's not that. I'm talking about when we are shy to speak to or talk to people who are of a higher status than we are. And it's better to know what we're talking about. We're not making a fool out of ourselves, trying to throw a joke, say something sarcastic. So now that's out of the way. Suppose you passed one of your superiors on the hallway. You might want to interrupt them very quickly with something such as, oh, good morning, Mr. Smith. I wanted to let you know really quickly that I'll have the outline for the convention guests ready for you by 2:00 this afternoon. If they don't know your name, you might want to say, my name is Mary Sanchez. I will have your outline for the convention for you by 2:00 this afternoon. And that's it. He may say thank you, but don't expect them to stop and go, thank you, you're such a wonderful. They're not going to say that. And if they do, you're very lucky. Don't expect anything back from these conversations. You're just learning how to talk to somebody who is an important person. You are learning. But in order to learn, you need to practice. To practice, you give these people something that's beneficial to them, to their career, to what they're doing, but always have a reason to speak to them. If you don't have any reason at all, you always have a hello. Everybody needs a hello. You can say, good morning, Mr. Sanchez, or good morning, Mrs. Sanchez. Goodbye. Always repeat the person's name. Good night, Mr. Smith. Good night, Mrs. Smith. And we need to know that these people are human just like we are, and they have feelings and happen in their family just like it happens to us. Suppose that Mr. Collins' family member passed away or is in the hospital or something bad happened. You say, oh, Mr. Collins, I heard about your family loss. I'm really sorry. Mr. Collins, I live very close to your neighborhood. If you need anything during this time of trials, let me know. I'd love to help. It sounds weird, but nobody offers them anything because they're superior. Nobody thinks that they need anything. And they may never say, oh, yes, I do. I want you to go and get us some soda pop at the store. They may never say that. But what if they do need the help? And they say, we're so busy. Here's $10. Could you get me some soft drinks and bring it to the house for me tomorrow? Yes. And then you make sure to meet the end of that bargain and you do what you said you're going to do. Okay? They may never ask you for anything, but always remember that you said something nice during their hard times and that you offered help. That doesn't mean that now you're going to get a promotion and you're now in the right side with the company's boss. It doesn't mean that. It just means you are a human being and you are treating them as a human being. Okay? So that's number 9. Number 10, suppose that Mrs. Thomas is working really hard organizing a seminar at some hotel and you are the person in charge of organizing the menu for that seminar. The menu or some other task, whatever else they may have asked you to do. Doesn't have to be a menu, okay? So you're going to come to that person that you hardly ever talk to and you're scared to death, but you're going to come prepared. Let's say in charge of the menu, you're going to come prepared with questions about that menu. Here's one example. Mrs. Thomas, I was wondering if there's anything specific you would like on the menu for the seminar at the hotel next Thursday. I would like to know if you prefer pastries without nuts or just the way they serve. Also about the beverages, would you like a selection of caffeinated and decaffeinated or just decaffeinated beverages? There's lots of things you can talk about there. And if you're in charge of some report and you find some important things about that report, that you might want to ask them to say, would you like this and that in the report too? If you do, prepare that for you, okay? And then before you leave, you thank them. Thank you very much, Mrs. Thomas. I have until Wednesday at noon to make changes to that menu, and I'll be glad to make changes if you'd like. Thank you. Bye. Okay? This is just an example of something that you can say to Mrs. Thomas or Mr. And if you're in charge of something else, let's say you're in charge of the setting of the tables. Mrs. Thomas, how would you like those tables to be set? Would you like them in straight lines, or would you like them in a V shape? Would you like them on a U shape? Okay. That way you have a reason to go over there and speak to them, talk to them, and you have a question that is valid. It's not just some frivolous thing. And they feel you are interested in what's happening. You're serving them or asking a question about something that is important and it's needful and it's going to benefit them. It's not about benefiting you. It's benefiting them. However, at the same time, you are being trained how to talk, how to speak to important people. Okay. Take every opportunity to use these points of conversation, because you don't know in the future if you're going to get a job such as a salesperson. Suppose you sell airplanes or even cars, fancy cars, to people who are very important or have a higher status. So what are you going to do? You're going to hide under the table? And in order to know how to talk to these people, you need to practice. You have to take every opportunity to say something to them. And if you don't have anything to say, hello, goodbye is always something good to say. Never miss that opportunity to make them feel that you have something to contribute to their job that's benefiting the company or benefiting them or benefiting what they do. Okay. Suppose that they're a scientist and they have had a finding. Oh, I'm so glad about your finding. I really hope that research will be on time so that you can progress on it really soon. Never go, oh, so what are you doing? What is it you're finding? Is it going to cure cancer? Never ask something that they have to give information back, because they may not be able to or even be allowed to give you information. And that will be prying. So you don't, you just congratulate. Let's say your CEO is going to bring in this new software that's going to be wonderful. Don't go to him and say, oh, so what does this software do? How are we going to use it? When is it going to be implemented? No, I'm so glad you found this software that's going to help us so much with our work. Make it so the company is going to be benefited by such a great decision. Okay. This is not about trying to be on the right side with the boss. Those things are so shallow. That's not what this is. This is about being a good employee. A good employee speaks out, talks, and offers beneficial information and beneficial suggestions to the company. And that's how we learn how to speak with important people, because they are the ones in charge. And we need to speak. We need to talk to them, make ourselves known, and in a positive way, in a delicate way, that it's not a show off and it's not trying to be funny or cute or sarcastic to call attention to ourselves. Those things don't benefit anyone. Avoid those things. Make your conversation pleasant. Formulate in your mind ahead of time what you're going to say so that you know what you're going to say, like the one that's Mrs. Thomas. What else would you like on that menu? Instead of just performing your job and Mrs. Thomas gets there, all the pastries have nuts and she's allergic to nuts. When you could have asked, should we have nuts or no nuts? Have an excuse to talk to them, but an excuse that is beneficial for them. They feel there's a benefit in that conversation. Okay? So go over these points, and when you have opportunity, practice them. But you always have the opportunity to say hello, goodbye, good night, good morning to anybody. And they're all human and they all need that, just like we do. Good luck.